Rewilding astrology for the December 15th full moon in Gemini. What the fuck is rewilding astrology? So for me, it's about the archetypes, which are parts of self. For me, as above, so below. That which is going on out there in the full moon around this time is also going on inside. For me, we can point to an inner blueprint, right? We can point to like parts of you that are really active, really alive. We can point to themes that are going to be coming up, and we can get in alignment with that stuff. We can get in alignment. It's like riding the wave into goodness, like riding the wave and goodness for rewilding astrology, is riding the wave of goodness toward your true north. Your highest potentials, your greatest unfolding in life. I mean, how good is this? All right, that's what we're going to get into today. Let me feel into where I can kick this off next. I would love to share with you the fact that there is some magic in this full moon. There is some magic in this full moon, but we're going to have to get underneath the chitter chatter of Gemini. I love Gemini. I think Gemini is great. Gemini goes this way, no, look at it from this angle. No, how about this? Gemini is the twins. It's like the twins. Gemini can sometimes make it hard to make decisions and to move forward. So there's an invitation here in this full moon to get deeper. Now it's going to be challenging because the sun's in Sag, which is fire and wants to just blast you off the planet, right? The moon is in Gemini. Gemini is air, a lot of chatter, a lot of chatter. By the way, 2025 is going to be bringing a lot more fire and air. So the feel of this full moon is kind of a marker for what's coming in 2025. There are big outer planets moving out of Earth and water signs into fire and air. So there's a quickening that's going to happen. And this full moon is really beautiful to kind of almost foreshadow what 2025 is going to feel like. A little bit more fire, a little bit more air. Things are going to be a little quicker. For some of us, we're going to love that. We're going to love it. For some of us, we are not going to love it, or there will be parts of us that love it, parts of us that don't, right? The earthy, grounded parts of self can struggle with that, right? The super quick inspiration, fiery, move, go parts of us will love that. Okay, let's come back to this full moon. Let's come back to this magic. So kind of the first theme that I want to feel into is there's some hidden magic into this moon. Now, I want to talk about how you can tap into that hidden magic. Tapping into that hidden magic is one, dream time. Dream time. This full moon is square Neptune. Dream time, meditation time. If you are a person who does like shamanic underworld journeys, powerful time to be doing stuff like that. Altered states of consciousness with tightly held intentions. I want to say that. Tightly held intention. You're going into an altered state of consciousness through whatever meditative technique that you're using, right? Could be breath work, could be cold plunges, could be coffee things, could be licking frogs. I don't care, whatever it is, right? But with tightly held intention. Now, tightly held intention, this moment in time, what is really, really loud in the sky? Really, really loud in the sky is your expansion and your growth. That's the loudest thing right now. That is the loudest thing for the rest of the year. Your expansion and your growth. So let me go back to this magic that's available. Magic that's available is beyond the chitter chatter surface level of the mind. Thinking surface level conversations, it's not going to get you there. It's not going to get you there. It's going to be very confusing. It's going to be very confusing, and we're not going to be able to find the wisdom or the path forward, most likely in that layer of thinking. But if we were to go into a deeper, wiser, knowing place, that's key. Feel that. You might have to replay that a couple times. Let me do it again for us. Feel this in your body. Deeper, wiser, knowing place. It's that knowing place that we want to move from. We want to be in around the days before this full moon, the days after this full moon, kind of all the way to the end of the year. We want to be continually tapping into that deeper, wiser, knowing place. That's the place to trust. And I'll talk about a little bit more about why in a minute. But Practices that get you there, whatever those are for you, they're different for everybody, right? Practices that get you there, deeper, wiser, knowing place within. If you don't have a practice or want to try something new, our body wisdom activation helps to get us into deeper, wiser, knowing place. That happens to be 40% off for our holiday promotion stuff. I think it's like under $30 at the moment. So if you're wanting to try something different or to try a practice, one of my personal practices to get into my own deeper, wiser, knowing place, jump into that, right? Jump into that. But feel for you, right? If that's not for you, great. But do something. Do something. And I would say a daily practice will be ridiculously powerful to set you up for 2025. Even if it's 5 minutes of just, I walk my dog this morning. I'm walking my dog, right? Every morning I do a big walking meditation with my dog. But you could do a short one, right? A short one. You walk around your house a couple times, walk around the block a couple times. But you want to just give your full focus, full attention to deeper, wiser, knowing place. Deeper, wiser, knowing place. What do I know? I just know this. I just know this from a deep, wise, intuitive place within myself. That's the most powerful thing that we can do. I'm telling you, for the next couple of weeks, really until the end of the year. Now let's talk about why. Let's back that up, so you're not just like, all right, Sabrina, that's your opinion. I mean, one, it's just great to live from that place, right? I always want to live from the deepest, wisest place in myself. So it's just a good overall practice anyways. But what makes this moment louder? What makes this more important around this moment? Partially because the full moon is in Gemini, partially because that's a really chattery place. There's going to be a lot of information, a lot of talk, a lot of chatter. It's like double speed, like double time the information coming at us. Double time the brain, the mind, right? Full moon, that's a lot of juice. That's illuminating the mind and the thoughts. It's going to make thinking a lot louder. Also, Mercury stationing. Anytime a planet stations, that energy gets louder. Mercury represents the mind. Remember this whole thing that I started out with in the beginning, as above, so below, right? Above, out there in the skies, Mercury's got a lot of spotlight on him, a lot of force, a lot of juice. That directly translates to your mind. Your mind has a lot of spotlight, a lot of juice at the moment. So your mind is gonna wanna go for it. It just is. It's stationing direct. It is like coming out of hibernation, and it is going to want to go for it. Now with a full moon in Gemini, that just supports it. It's like the full moon adds to this, like, all right, let's get the mind going. Plus Jupiter's in Gemini. That just adds even more expansion, more juice, more fuel to the fire. The mind is going to want to go. Now, Gemini, full moon, Gemini, Jupiter, right? It's going to want to go this direction, then this one, then this one, then this one, this one, this one, right? Amidst the holiday season for some of us, that just increases communication, right? It can get real buzzy real fast. It can get real zingy real fast. It can get real confusing real fast. This is kind of the warning around it, right? Kind of the warning. Now, feel into the antidote to that, the medicine, right? The medicine, the antidote to that, what gets us out of what could feel like overwhelm, what could feel like chaos, what could feel like mind, I was gonna say mind PTSD, like just insanity in the brain, insane in the brain. Isn't that like an old song? Oh my God, here we go. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but feeling, coming out of this like chitter chattery, this way, no, this way, into like, this is just a deep, wise knowing. This is just a deep, wise knowing. I just deeply, wisely know this. I intuitively know this, right? Deep, wise knowing. It's the antidote to it. It's the medicine to it. And whatever you got to do to get there, right? Whatever you got to do to get there, get there. If it's meditate, do it. If it's doing a walking meditation, do it. If it's yoga, do it. Feel into body-based though. The body-based is going to help you get there. Really and truly, like body-based practices are antidotes to getting us into a deeper, wiser place within self during this last couple weeks of December. All right, let's talk a little bit more. Let me feel into this. I want to give us a little more around the magic, right? So I kind of started with this theme of there's magic here, but it's deeper. There's magic, but it resides a little bit deeper. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the magical stuff going on during this full moon, that if we bring our consciousness to, you can activate it within yourself. They won't get activated if we don't bring our consciousness to them. So I'm speaking them. You're bringing your consciousness to them just by listening. Just by thinking about this, you're directing your awareness, your attention to these things within, right? Where attention goes, energy flows. So if we direct our attention to these more mystical, magical, glorious, grace-filled points, more energy will flow, right? More of them will be activated, and this will show up in our lives a little bit more. Here's the two that I want to bring attention and a bit of activation to. So this full moon, trines and sextiles Hygeia and Vesta. These are extraordinary feminine aspects. They sit in the face of the feminine mystic. They sit in the face of the feminine mystic. So if you were to see like the divine feminine, and we kind of split it in rewilding in 6 faces of the feminine, right? We could do 3, we could do 12, but it just feels like a good framework for us. So like there's 6 faces for us as a way of talking about things. They sit in the feminine mystic. So the feminine mystic is in really positive aspects to this full moon. Very positive aspects to this full moon. Now, I want to break this down a little bit more and give you a little bit more around who is Vesta, what are these positive aspects, and who is Hygeia, what are these positive aspects. But I do want to say that these are Shakti goddesses. These are Shakti goddesses, they're wisdom goddesses. They're Shakti, like Shakti. It's like once they become alive in you, right? They wake up the gifts in you. They wake up that Shakti in you. They wake up those gifts in you. This is why it mostly will not be felt. It mostly will not be conscious in most people, because most people do not have Vesta or Hygeia necessarily alive and awake and dancing wildly through them, right? They're like initiatory Shakti goddesses. And astrologically, they're also in the sky. They're asteroids in the sky. And they're currently lining up with this full moon. Now, those of you who are working with, in some way, Vesta and Hygeia, it'll be a bit of a different story for you. I know some of you are in IX working with Vesta this month. Vesta. If you're in IX, which is Rewilding Immersion Experience, it's the 36 archetypal activations. If you're in IX, you have Vesta this month, you definitely want to do Vesta around this full moon. If you're not, you can feel into Vesta, you can meditate with Vesta, you can go read about Vesta, right? You can, however you feel. If you want the rewilding activation transmission journey into the embodiment of this aspect of self, this sacred technology coming alive in you, the doors to IX are open, right? They're also part of that holiday special I told you about, Body Wisdom Activation, 40% off at the moment. Also, IX, which is a year-long program, 36 archetypes. Everything we talk about in astrology is in IX. This is also part of holiday promo. So the doors are open. The doors are not always open to this program, but they are during holiday promo, and you get a free weekend ticket to Berlin, London, Sydney for a 2-day weekend live event, which I'm wildly excited about. Rewild Your Life. That's what those are called. So anyways, just a little bit of invitation if you want to go for it, right? Like that's the program that's really going to take your life somewhere different in 2025. Activating 36 archetypal energies. It's going to rock your world. It's going to change everything for you. I'm watching it happen in my life. I've been working with these archetypes in an archetypal embodiment way with these activations and transmissions, not just for myself, but facilitating them for 10 years. And this current what's coming through is completely changing my life. It's changing my body. It's changing my sexuality. It's changing my health. It's changed my brain. It has changed rewilding my business. It's changed my financial status. It's changed everything in my life. There's no area of my life that's not touched. So just want to share that with you. Doors are open to that. If you're feeling like, wow, I'm in for really deepening into my own potentials. That's what it's about. If you've ever felt into kind of like new human sort of stuff, like New Human, switching on sacred technologies. This is 36 of them. Technologies that they align with your greatest potentials, right? That's how these work. They align with your greatest potentials. They rise up to meet you where you're at, take you exactly where you're meant to go in your greatest potential. Okay, I know that was a massive fucking plug for IX. It is our signature program. I have worked my entire rewilding career to bring these through in this degree, and I'm crazy excited that it's open right now. And I don't know how long those doors are going to be open to join. So anyways, you'll find a link for that below. Okay, so let's feel into a little bit more around this magic activating. Let's talk about Vesta. So Vesta being in, I've got her down as a sextile to the full moon, right? So Vesta sextile the full moon. What does Vesta do? Vesta is a keeper of the inner sacred flame. So just feel into that for a quick moment. Full moon illuminating your inner flame. How alive, how alight is your inner flame at the moment? Now, your inner flame is linked to your sacred purpose. It is linked to your mission on this planet. It's linked to let's just say the light worker in you, the gift that you're meant to give. It's linked to that, right? That's Vesta. That's Vesta. Now we have a full moon, which is feminine energy, right? Great mother is the moon. She's shining a light, a very positive aspect right on your inner flame. And asking to bring attention, where attention goes, energy flows, attention to your inner flame. How alive, how alight is it? How aligned is your life with your sacred flame? The degree to which your life is aligned, your purpose, you're in alignment with your purpose, your highest potentials. The degree to which your life is aligned is the degree to which your inner flame is alight. The degree to which your inner flame is alight is directly linked to your vitality, your health, your aliveness. How much juice, how much joie de vivre, how much joy, follow your bliss, right? Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss, it's joy. Joy and purpose are in direct alignment with each other. Vesta is a V, she brings the focus to it. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so that's one aspect of this like more mystical, magical stuff going on around this full moon. Now let's talk about Hygeia. Hygeia is also part of IX. She's not part of this month, but she is in IX, one of the 36 core archetypes. Some of you already have her. You could go in and do that around this full moon. It would be a very different experience. Every time you journey into these archetypes, it will be a completely different experience. You are a different person. All the energies out in the atmosphere are different, so it will be a different journey. Now, Hygeia, again, very positive aspect, the moon shining a light on Hygeia. Hygeia is, feel into these words, Kundalini, goddess of miraculous healing and awakening. Talk about hidden esoteric, right? Probably ain't hearing that in a whole lot of astrology channels, right? But that's why I'm saying bringing our attention here activates that. It activates that, right? It activates that. But our attention has to go there. Our consciousness has to go there so that the Shakti can come alive. The goddess needs our attention. She needs consciousness so that her wisdom can come alive. Now, if we were to feel into a little more around Hygeia's wisdom coming alive in ourselves, your capacity to self-heal, that's Hygeia. Your capacity to self-heal. Your capacity for embodied enlightenment, that's Hygeia. Embodied enlightenment. Embodiment of feel into Kundalini energy, Kundalini, goddess of miraculous healing and awakening, right? That's Hygeia. She's like the great spiritual awakener, but the spiritual awakener linked to Kundalini, linked to the divine feminine awakening, whatever the next level is for you, because all of those of us who've walked this path of awakening, we all know it ain't one and done, right? It's like now your next spiritual awakening and the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And Hygeia can support that, right? Your next initiation, your next spiritual awakening, your next awakening to the divine feminine mysteries, and the next one, and your next awakening to healing. Kundalini, goddess of miraculous healing and awakening. So this is the more mystical side of this full moon. They're both alive and they're both in very good aspects. They're only off by 1 degree. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful alignment. And they're loud when we bring our awareness to them, right? When we bring our awareness to them. Okay. let's move on before I go off on a divine feminine Shakti awakening, serious tangent. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more around what's loud, what's alive. This full moon, every astrologer is talking about it. This full moon is square to Neptune. Neptune is higher heart. Neptune is mystical consciousness. I like thinking of Neptune sometimes as the cloud of unknowing, the cloud of unraveling. The cloud of unraveling, unknowing, descends upon the mind. This is why the mind's going to be such a mess. Remember back to that talk about go deeper, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. By the way, those feminine wisdom goddesses, they open us up to deeper wisdom. Feminine embodiment, feminine archetypes, feminine goddesses, they always open you up to deeper wisdom. They always open you up to deeper, more embodied, intuitive wisdom within. They open that, they access that, they activate that within us. Okay, so Neptune descends down, and some will talk about Neptune as an energy that can be escapism, can be delusion, illusion, dreamy, intuitive, higher perspectives, higher heart, can really open us up to like mystical mind, all is one, and can also really unground us, right? Sometimes being ungrounded is actually the greatest thing that can serve, right? Sometimes it's not. So I don't want to have any judgment around the word ungrounded. But this full moon being square to Neptune, with Mercury going direct and the full moon being in Gemini, with Jupiter in Gemini, now Neptune comes in and he just like brings the fog. He brings the confusion. He can bring confusion. He can bring the fog. He can bring the dreaming in. It's so interesting, and it's going to be interesting how we traverse this. I heard something today, and it was about Aboriginal dream time, and that the dream time being this extraordinarily potent state of consciousness for bringing things into into physical form. How important that creative dreaming time is, meditative time, that altered state. Remember, we started off this conversation, altered states of consciousness, very powerful. Now feel into an altered state of consciousness that opens you up to like dream time, to inspired thought, in spirit to inspired thought, creative thinking, like really opens the mind. And this is all wildly supported by the sun in Sag, right? By the sun in Sag, this Mercury retrograde, Mercury the mind, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius has already been doing this for a couple of weeks by now, already been opening up the mind, opening up the mind, opening up the mind, opening up the mind. It's going to be interesting how we each individually traverse this territory. There could be a lot of numbing out, escaping, running away, watching television, like that's escapism, right? There could be a lot of like drinking alcohol just to like get into some sort of chemically induced state to get out because it's too much chaos. It's too much, the mind's going chitter chattery, wild. And then Neptune's coming in and just like bringing a fog. And you're like, I have no idea what's going on. When that happens, go deeper, get into the body wisdom activation that I shared. Go do that workshop. That's a workshop that then opens that up in you, and you can tap into that any moment, anytime, wherever, to go into that deeper place of knowing in self. That's the place to move from, deeper place of knowing within self, whether that be like deep heart, or for me, it's even deeper than that. It's deep. It's like my lower wisdom center, Hara Dantian, lower seat of the soul. That's the place I meditated on this morning. That's the place I'm really called. And I got a lot of decisions to make at the moment, right? Like, A lot of decisions, big decisions, like house moving decisions, massive business decisions, right? Direction of rewilding, relationship decisions. There's just decisions coming left, right, and center, which is kind of this moment in time because that's what Mercury retrograde brought us. So feel into that. What decisions do you have to make? What decisions do you have to make for your expansion? That's what this Mercury retrograde was about. And this Mercury retrograde, remember, he goes direct on the 15th, on this full moon. So decisions you need to make, pivots, changes, path forward for your expansion, for your growth, your expansion, your growth, your expansion, your growth. Do not compromise. If there's anything that I can share with you, don't be horribly mean, but do not compromise your growth, because your growth is not just for you. It's the greatest gift that you can give. You coming into your fullness is the greatest gift that you can give the world. So do whatever you got to do to come into your fullness. Whatever you got to do, book that trip, sign that thing, do that thing, move that house, join IX, I don't know, right? Come on tour to England or Sydney or Berlin. I don't know, but do the thing, do the thing. So on the 15th, this full moon, it's now time to take action. So when Mercury stations direct, it's now time to bring it into the physical. All the thoughts, all the things, all the stuff that he was undoing, all the thoughts, all the things that he was showing you, this needs to change. It's revise, review, revisit. That's a Mercury retrograde. Now, when he goes direct on the 15th, for the rest of the month, because he's in post-shadow, right? Post-shadow, he's going back over everything that he just undid. Revise, review, revisit, right? Now, this next 2 weeks, he is all about redirect, pivot, right? Now it's like bringing it in and taking the action according to what you saw, what you discovered, what was uncovered for you during that retrograde. But the key, especially around this full moon and the couple days after, because the moon will go perfectly direct Neptune just after that on the 18th, the sun will be perfectly square Neptune. It's going to be interesting, right? Depending on where your Neptune is at, how alive, how awake, what relationship you are at to your mystic mind will depend on how this will show up for you. By the way, Neptune is in IX also. So if you haven't ever done your Neptune work or gotten real good with Neptune, real good with the mystic in you, you can go do that in IX. Right? So, but depending on how that is for you, some of us, it is our time to shine, right? For some of us, when that mystic gets activated, it is like, I am a creative genius, right? I know how to work with this energy. I know what is intuitive and I know what is like fluffy BS. I know how to work with shamanic visioning. I know how to, Neptune puts you walking one foot in both worlds. You know, how good are you at crossing the veil? That's Neptune. He just brings the veil down. There is no veil. So how good are you at walking, you know, in spirit world and 3D physical world? You know, what is your relationship to that? And doing your Neptune work, right? Archetypally embodying, activating that sacred technology in yourself helps you, right? To really get the gifts from it, to get the gifts from Neptune. Okay, so that's going to happen. The sun squares Neptune on the 18th of December. So actions, right, need to come from wise place, these pivots, these redirects that are coming out of the Mercury retrograde, things to do before the end of the year. So the next new moon is on the 30th of December. So perfect, right? This is such a good setup. So we want to make those changes. We want to make those pivots. We want to bring those things into action that align us further going into our expansion. It is all about your expansion, which is so great, right? So great for end of the year, having a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. It's all about your expansion and your personal growth and your truth. Your truth, I want to share this piece too, is your truth. Your truth. May I be, I shared this the other day, may I be more aligned with my truth than my need to be right. May I be more aligned with my truth than an old contract that doesn't fit anymore. An old promise that doesn't fit. May I be so aligned with my truth. May I move from my truth. Feel into this for a moment. This can help. Truthful self. that takes into account that expansion and that personal growth. Truthful self. That's a really good practice that you could do. If I'm going to move from truthful self, I move from truthful self. I make decisions from truthful self, and let go. Here's another key. Let go of the people pleaser. Let go of needing to coddle other people's emotions. I have a high level of emotional sensitivity to others. I have a high level of empathy. I'm not sharing this from a place of being mean or nasty at all. But where do you, and this full moon could be illuminating this, right? Because full moon comes to completion, culmination, the end of something. That's a full moon. It's also the completion, the end of a Mercury retrograde. This is just huge culmination, huge ending. So there could be endings where you're going to have to hurt someone's feelings because of your truth. You're going to have to break a contract because of your truth. You're going to have to, because of your truth. Because of your truth. True full self. Feel into that. True full self. Whoo-wee. It is a moment in time. My gosh, there will be more coming out on this on the 1st in membership. We're going to work. Our January 1st circles are always enormous. They're always enormous, right? I mean, it is like the energy, and we'll have just had that new moon. So it's like such a great way to align us for the first of the year. Between now and then, if you have Vesta in IX, definitely go do that. Maybe you have Body Wisdom workshop already, go do that. If you haven't, that's on holiday promo. Maybe there's something else in holiday promo. By the way, I'll just share this other tiny little bit that they're not talking about in the astrology. Parvati is conjunct Neptune. So for those of you feeling relationship stuff right now, Parvati is conjunct Neptune, which, remember, they're square. That's square to the sun and the moon right now. That's a big deal. So it's really also opening us up to higher level relationship, higher level. Parvati also holds sacred sexuality, higher forms of sexual expression, higher forms of relating, higher forms of partnering. What is that? Interestingly, we didn't plan this at all, but interestingly, in the holiday promo, we also have sacred sexuality. I think that one's 50% off, and rewilding your relationships is open and also part of the holiday promo. So just if these are themes, those might be part of your personal growth. I know for me, relationship is part of my personal growth for next year. It like next level relating. I think Pluto going into Aquarius has brought that up for some of us. Is like, wow, there's a new form of relating. Like there's a new way. It's not codependent. It's not over independent. But what is this like interdependent? Like how does whole sovereign self, right, meet another whole sovereign self? And how do we like overlap to gift each other? You know, what is that? What is this sacred tribes converging piece? I'm all over this at the moment. I'm just loving it. And the mysteries being revealed around, you know, the new human. Let's talk about this new human. You know, this new human. We're really all coming into a whole lot of newness that we haven't seen before. You know, newness in the ways that our minds work, newness in the way that our energy bodies work, newness in the way that we are aware of our interconnectedness to everyone and everything. You know, newness in what you're conscious of now. You're probably conscious of 1,000 times more than you were 10 years ago. We are becoming so conscious of so many different layers and levels of things within ourselves, within another, within our environments. And how do we dance with that? How do we manage that? How do we work with that? How do we, you know, come into the highest expression of that? To me, this is exciting. It's wildly exciting. Someone in the IX program was like, Sabrina, this is the new human. Like, this is the new human. I'm 8 months into this. This is the new human. Like, I'm a new human. This is it. This is what's activating the new DNA. This is what's switching on all of these sacred technologies in me. This. I'm not saying IX is the only thing, obviously, leading us into new human, right? But it's a thing. So if that's singing to you, it's a big program. It's a big investment. It's a big time. It's a year. It's 36 archetypal activation. I mean, you're stuck in like live retreat with me once a month. That's a lot. It's a lot. All right. Enough. I would love to see you anywhere that feels like it serves for you. It's again following that truthful self, truthful self, truthful self, truthful self, and whatever that is for your path forward. Truthful self, truthful self, truthful self, truthful self. Do not be afraid to take action. Right? Do not be afraid to sign up for the things, to have the conversations, to release the relationships. Do not be afraid to, right? Around this full moon, after this full moon, do not be afraid to just make sure that you're coming from that deeper, wise place, but do not be afraid to take action. Do not be afraid to take action because it is a time we're being asked to do it to set us up for 2025. Massive love to you all. You are amazing. Thank you so much for being here. If you weren't here, I wouldn't be here. Massive gratitude to you.